More pushback against proposed federal riding changes for this region. A pair of in-person public hearings on the new boundary proposals were held this week in Sioux Lookout in Kenora. Lee Noonan was there and brings us the reaction.
The Federal Electoral Boundaries Commission for Ontario faced polite but unwavering objections from public and politicians gathered at the Sioux Lookout Legion. The independent panel of three is tasked with divvying up the province into exactly 122 ridings, each with a population as close as possible to the provincial quota of about 160,500 people.
In balancing voter parity, against other factors, which are communities of identity, communities of interest, historical pattern, and geographic size. We can also have some deviation from the quota.
The proposed changes would see the northernmost parts of the province grouped together into one riding, Kiiwetinoong-Mushkegowuk, stretching from the Manitoba border to the James Bay coast. It would include Sioux Lookout and Red Lake, while Kenora and Dryden would become part of a new Kenora-Thunder Bay-Rainy River riding. Sioux Lookout Mayor Doug Lawrence spoke out against the proposal.
We prefer the status quo or a riding that includes the districts of Rainy River and Kenora, and lets the city of Thunder Bay and East figure it out. That would be, there's so many common interests in those two districts, so much common governance, regional governance already.
Lawrence is concerned the municipality's interests would be too different from those of the First Nations that make up most of the Kiiwetinoong-Mushkegowuk riding, while at the same time saying the needs of the small town would be swamped if it had to share an MP with the city of Thunder Bay. MP Marcus Pulowski, who traveled from Thunder Bay to speak at the meeting, expressed concern that the diversity of issues and the sheer amount of travel required would be a challenge for anyone to cover.
I went to an event in Big Grassy a few weeks ago. I had to get up at 7 a.m. I stopped for Tim Hortons in Fort Francis on the way and coming back. We spent an hour there. I got home at 9 p.m. A lot of that time there's no cell phone coverage, there's no internet. It's basically downtime. If there was a vote, like there was a vote today, I had to stop in Uppsala.
Both Pulowski and Kenora MP Eric Melillo say their biggest concern is for the quality of representation for local citizens. Melillo, whose current riding would be split between the two new ridings, addressed the commission in Kenora on Tuesday.
Whether it would be Marcus, me, or someone else representing a riding like that, obviously there'd be challenges servicing that riding in terms of where you'd put your constituency offices and where people would have access to.
For anyone who would still like to say their piece, written statements are being accepted until October 29th. Lee Noonan, TBT News.